The bicycle is the world's great green machine. So here are some principles for network planning and cycleway design. They're rooted in London, but draw on many publications and on 65 years of cycling in a dozen countries. 1. Cycleway networks are a highly cost-effective way of investing in transport, health, amenity and sustainability. The UK Department for Transport put the average benefit-cost ratio at 5.5 to 1, which is way above the typical ratio for public transport investment projects, and maintenance costs are vastly lower than for powered transport. 2. Commuter and leisure cycling are equally important and attract similar numbers of users. 3. Commuter cyclists require the shortest possible direct link from A to B, and then, after work, from B back to A. 4. Leisure cyclists enjoy loops and trails, and if the scenic quality is high enough, commuters may choose to use leisure facilities in preference to shorter A to B routes for getting to work. 5. Trees are transport systems, and leaf patterns work well for cycleway network planning. The cells and ribs facilitate journeys to shops, stations, parks, hospitals and other destinations. 6. Large cities should emulate and then surpass the cycling mode share of Tokyo, which is the world's largest city. The table shows London with a mode share of 2% and Tokyo with 20%. At the city scale, size doesn't matter. 7. For trips under about 5 kilometres, journeys by bike will be quicker than trips by car or bus, if the principle of filtered permeability is applied to road networks. 8. Cycleways should not be conceived, planned or designed as mini roads or routed alongside maxi roads. Cycling is different. 9. Splashing paint about and advertising dangerous routes are good ways of insulting cyclists and discouraging cycling. 10. The width of a cycleway should be closely related to traffic volumes and to aesthetic considerations, because breadth and narrowness are scenic qualities. 11. Every cycleway should be a context-sensitive design, even if some use of design codes is necessary. 12. Different types of bike need different types of bikeway design in terms of widths, surfacings, and contexts. 13. Standardized horizontal curves and vertical curves should be used only for the busiest and fastest cycle tracks. 14. As many cycleways as possible should be designed as greenways, in the sense of being multi-objective projects that are good from an environmental point of view, including the ecological point of view. 15. Landscape architects should work with transport engineers to design cycleways which, as well as being functional, have better scenery, more trees, and a much better user experience than current world norms. 16. Cycleways should flow through the city, a source of joy and health to all who use them, and urban landscapes should billow across cycleways, revealing their treasures. Now, with a proper regard for fair play, let's review the principles that are held by those who disagree with the preceding principles. 1. The bicycle is a nasty contraption used by low-income, sweaty yobs to annoy car drivers. 2. Cycle networks are a waste of money, and London cyclists don't pay road tax simply because the UK doesn't have a road tax. 3. Commuter cyclists should be diverted from main roads onto residential back streets. 4. Leisure cyclists should be diverted from main roads onto residential back streets. 5. Trees are static objects and therefore a bad model for transport planning. The fact that they transport energy, water and nutrients is totally irrelevant. 6. Large cities should follow the example of Los Angeles by keeping their cycling mode share at 1% or below. 7. Roads should be planned so that car transport is always the fastest way of making a journey, as it is in Los Angeles. 8. Cycleways should be mini roads, so that converting them into proper motor roads is as easy as possible. This is what London did in the 1950s and what it will have to do again in the 2050s. 9. Painting cycle lanes on roads and signposting them as routes is a useful sop to the cycle lobby and does no harm, providing they're shared with other road users, including trucks, buses and taxis. 10. The width of a cycle lane should not exceed the normal width of bicycle handlebars. 11. All cycleways should be painted red, so that when there's an accident, the dried blood doesn't upset motorists. 12. Most cycleways should be designed for racing bikes, because other types of bike are only used by sissies, pansies and nutters. 13. Horizontal and vertical curves should be the same for cycleways and for motor roads, in the interests of shared use. 14. Trees should not be planted near cycleways, because birds might use them as perches from which to drop poo on passing cars. 15. Cycleways don't need designs or designers. They should be standardized and they should be the same everywhere. 16. Basically, bikes are an unsafe travel mode and a nuisance for drivers. In urban areas, their use should be restricted to low-traffic residential roads. Thank you.